No. The title of this video is in fact not clickbait. I'm being completely serious. Outside of my companies, the only place I'm really actively investing in watching right now is crypto, Metaverse, and gaming. That's it. Why? I truly believe, in fact almost know, that in the next 2 to 3 years, this is going to be one of the most certain 10, 20, 50x investments anyone could get into. I'm not suggesting you get into it now or even consider. All I'm trying to do in this video is point you in the direction, let you see what is going to happen, which I'm going to perfectly describe in this video. Over the next 5 years, I could see a situation where stocks really don't do anything. I can see a situation where crypto really doesn't do anything. But this is inevitable. This is how society is going to be structured and how people are going to interact in the digital world, whether it comes to gaming, augmented reality, VR, or Metaverse. And if you get this, you're going to be so ahead of the curve. And if you study this over the next couple months, next year or so, you're going to see the opportunities well before they happen. You're going to be way, way ahead of the curve. So without further ado, I want to show you my entire thesis and then exactly where to look and where to start considering investing in the future. With no more intro, let's get into it. Before we do though, look at this card. Look at this screen right here with the text. Read the text. This is a disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not even suggesting you buy right now. If you lose money, I don't care. It is 100% on you. I'm not here to babysit you. I'm here to point a light in the direction of the future. So now let's dive into it. So if we come to coin market cap right now, the total market cap for all gaming tokens and crypto is $8 billion. I can almost say with absolute certainty this will at least get to $100 billion in the next 3 years at some point. It doesn't matter if all the other markets do very badly. I think it will get to 100 billion in the next couple of years. I could see $1 trillion market cap in the next 5 years. Why? Because if you look at all of crypto, it's mostly vaporware and Ponzi schemes. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't enable anything. In the future, how people are going to interact when it comes to terms of gaming or Metaverse is going to be requiring and using crypto technology. And I feel when you combine AI into this, it is going to be the basis for all transactions and management and organization of the digital universe, as well as gaming, as well as how people interact, how people buy things from each other, how they buy advertising, how they sell and deal in valuable virtual real estate, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be required, giving crypto perhaps its first actual use case where it actually does something. If you go and look at the top cryptocurrencies, people are going to flame me for this. If you go beyond Bitcoin, none of it's used for anything. Nobody uses in their day-to-day life. I'm a huge crypto person. I've never used any of this in a day-to-day interaction ever. Okay, other than USDC and Ethereum network, I don't use any of this. None of this. No one uses any of this. If you come over here, when this actually starts to pick up and starts trending, this stuff is going to go to the moon. Now, what is going to happen, and I'm going to show you in this video, is there's going to be a lot of value-based things. A lot of things that have real merit and make total sense are going to be used for decades to come. When this first starts, though, those value-based things are also going to spur tons and tons of hype. And tokens from all the way down here and all over the place, things that have no business hitting high valuations are going to skyrocket. So, for example, in the gaming bull run, which I called perfectly and also nailed the top in, so please listen to me. The average market cap of most gaming projects was $50 million. Everything is sitting at 1/10 of where they were in the bull run. Okay? A lot of projects are sitting at 1/50th. And a lot of these projects, regardless of merit, I think are going to return to that point. And so it's very important that you understand the long-term aspects of this as well as the short-term. But in order to do that, you have to understand the thesis. Here is the thesis. Now, before we get into this, you need to understand there's two theses I want to show you. There's a long term, which you really have to understand to see the big picture. And this thing's going to help you over a 5-10 year span. There's also a short term that's probably going to make you a lot of money here in the next 2-3 years. This is what I'm planning on in both terms. Now, also, if you want to be on the cutting edge of this, I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video because I don't like to show things. But if you're very interested in gaming crypto and the crypto metaverse, and the overarching metaverse that crypto is going to be the backbone of, you should really look at Neo Tokyo. It is a NFT community I built literally 2 years ago that is about grabbing all the founders, all the smartest people in this industry, putting them in one room so that we can stay on the absolute cutting edge of this when it comes to alpha, resources, networking, finding talent, investing, seed investing, the whole 9 yards. If you're really interested, you should look at joining that community. If you do join that community, you're not buying it from me, you're buying it from another member. So this isn't me selling you a product that I'm going to make money from directly. I'm just pointing out a resource I think would be really helpful to you. And since we just released all these updates and it's getting a lot of attention, I just want to let you know about it before it becomes way too competitive to join. Because when these theses I'm about to show you come true, probably not going to be accessible to most people. A lot of people really don't understand the depth of this. And I'm going to lay out something right here that I don't see being discussed in crypto at all. Because most of crypto is full of very short-sighted people that aren't actually trying to make a product or anything. They're trying to build narratives so their coins go up. It's not how anything is built. It's not how products are done. And it's not how long-term thinkers think. The aspect I'm going to show you right here is how the world is probably going to look in 10 years. If you understand how the world is going to look in 10 years, particularly the digital spaces, it's going to become quite clear. So the initial thesis in gaming crypto is this, and this is probably what you're familiar with and you're either all in on or you're rolling your eyes. So for example, if you look at World of Warcraft, they have gold, or you look at Counter-Strike Go, okay? I think that's what it's called. They have items, okay, that people are spending a lot of money on. Someone spent like 200K on a gun. World of Warcraft, obviously people pay money for gold. So obviously the thesis is that these have value that can be transferred into real world cash. And so what people are basically saying is, well, people are going to trade NFTs in games, and also in games there's going to be in-game currencies similar to gold. That is the overall thesis. And there's a lot of holes in these arguments right here, because if you look at a game, it's actually just way easier for the player and the company, and more profitable for the company and easier for the player to just do in-game items like CSGO does. Like, why do we need NFTs? And then if you look at the currency, it's like, okay, but then people are going to cheat to get the currency. And at that point, why not just use actual digital currency like USDC or something like that? Why not just use Bitcoin? And this means from an investor standpoint, which no one in crypto wants to talk about. No one in crypto actually talks about like the hard truths of this. From an investor standpoint, this means the coin currency will crash eventually and the value of the NFTs will crash, because every game has a shelf life, okay? Unless it's like Skyrim or World of Warcraft, which is like a 1 in 99.9%, the stuff loses value. Even, for example, Elden Ring, one of the greatest games of all time, the player base went from, and that's how every game works, even if it's a good game. So how does this actually end up working? So you have to understand, this is the base thesis that everybody has, and it's stupid because people in crypto are stupid. So let's look at this base thesis right here. All right, it's going to go in games. But once we go a little bit deeper, we need to start looking at how the world is actually going to look. And we need to factor in certain things like AI. All right, it's a big thing we need to factor in, because what AI is going to allow us to do, and it's already allowed us to do, is develop digital environments, digital games, digital anything extremely fast in an infinite amount. So for example, if we wanted to make a game and we wanted to keep adding land to it, or we wanted to add other games for people to play in, an AI could develop that like that, and it could just keep building and building. Like say we had Minecraft, we could attach an AI and say like, this is the base thing, and it could look at players' interactions, what they're doing, and start building things for them and make an infinite game. So what you have to understand is there's two layers to this. There's Metaverse, and then there's gaming. Metaverse is going to be a digital layer that we all interact on. In the future, very, very soon, there's different types of metaverses. There's augmented reality, which you've seen from Apple. But I also believe people are going to spend a lot of their time, if not most of their time, plugged into virtual reality. And as sad Ready Player One as that is, it's just the future. You can deal with it, or you can be mad about it and say they're getting farther from human decency. I don't care. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. People are going to work, they're going to interact, and they're going to spend a lot of time in the metaverse. Why? Real world's kind of hard, and also it's really easy to interact and be around people if you don't have to deal with the physical distance and all the other things that are going to happen. So what is going to happen is there's going to be digital wearables that people have in this. There's going to be real estate. Now, I don't just mean real estate like a house in a video game, like, oh, you got a house in a video game. I mean attention real estate. For example, if you ever saw Ready Player One, if you saw the initial hub where they all came into, imagine everybody walking in and out of a hub every single day in a metaverse virtual reality environment. Advertisements around there will be very, very, very valuable. Finally, with all of these things, there's going to be infrastructure, maybe not a currency. We could just run off USDC or something like that, but there needs to be an infrastructure to facilitate all the interactions and transactions going on here. And there could actually be a currency for one game, but I'm not really interested in in-game currency, which is what everybody is focused on. Please bear with me. The underlying connection between all these things will have to be NFTs. Okay, NFT ownership of real estate, NFT ownership of items. And the reason why this won't be owned by any company in particular is because what I see happening is, if you ever saw Ready Player One, it was just one big game. And if you notice, the players would just move between this universe, which is encompassed by this big game, and they go and play sub games. There was like Doom Planet, there was like a casino world, there was this thing, and people were just moving between these things pretty effortlessly. And what is going to happen is these games are all going to be developed by AI. Okay, so for example, people will live in the metaverse, or they'll work, play, they'll have an office in the metaverse, and then when they get done, their digital character or their digital persona will move into another game. Okay, and so what's going to be happening is digital wearables, real estate, everything will start having higher implications because it carries across your entire digital life, not just one game. This is the thing that people are missing. And so what I see happening in gaming, for instance, is you're going to get an NFT in a game. Let's say you get a really rare NFT asset or item, like an NFT wearable. And then what will happen is, I believe NFTs are going to have an AI code to them. All right, there's going to be something on the blockchain that has basically the base layer, maybe the image files or something that AI can then use to transfer it to any game. So when a person creates a new game, let's say we have this big overarching digital world. When a person creates a game, maybe it has different graphics, maybe it has a different design, but what happens is an AI can easily look at that picture and then transplant it into the game. You log into the game, your NFTs are verified through your wallet, and boom, all the things you work for in other games or things that say something about you or your status in the digital realm are going to be transferred over. This is what people are missing. The AI aspect combined with the metaverse aspect combined with the gaming aspect. The gaming and the metaverse are going to be very, very connected because what you do in gaming is going to transfer to the metaverse. What you do in metaverse will transfer to the gaming. Finally, in the near term, we're going to see NFT adoption in gaming, and I believe in the much shorter term, game systems, like for example, Blizzard has a game ecosystem, Epic has a game ecosystem, you're going to see these assets be transferable between games. Okay, and so you'll see them moving between games and eventually between gaming universes. Because again, with AI, we'll be able to recreate the NFT or the appearance of the NFT across multiple games. And so people are going to want to represent themselves. And I know what you're thinking, oh, it's just an image in a game, just copy and paste. They cannot. You already seen in real life a person wearing a fake Louis Vuitton purse does not carry the same amount of respect as a person that has a real one, and you can verify it. And so the point is, people don't even go out in public with fake ones. Same thing is going to apply in games. You can easily look at a person's wallet and go, wow, he has this item, blah, 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 and you can look at their wallet and tell if it's fake or not right away. I think the games will prevent that, but you see what's going on here. As people's lives become more and more wrapped up in metaverse layers, whether it's augmented reality or virtual reality, and gaming NFTs start carrying much, much more impactful outcomes. Okay, they're not just limited to one game, they're limited to all games. And as games start getting expanded on by AI, I think we're going to stop seeing so many wide ranges of games in the market. There's probably be like 5 games that are just constantly building on top of each other to make other games, and they gradually all come into one. This is where things start to get really, really, really hairy. Okay, and this is a long-term thesis right here. This is what's probably going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And you have to understand this before we talk about the short-term thesis, which is the way to get rich quickly. Now, this leads us to the short-term thesis where you're going to make money at in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe even the next year. It just depends when the things I'm going to point out here hit. It could happen very soon. It could happen in a couple of years. All you have to do is sit and wait because you're going to know exactly what's going on if you understand this thesis. So what I just laid out was this big, what's going to happen when AI, augmented reality, VR, gaming, all kind of blob together in like this super being, kind of like we described AI doing. This everything blobs together into this one giant Ready Player One metaverse / game / everything. Okay, there's going to be an everything game, or at least universe where you move between, and AI generates your NFTs, your assets, and there's going to be places where lots of people are, and that place is valuable. And the same is going to apply to the augmented reality layer of the world as well. In the short term, here are the 2 most bullish things. The first thing is augmented reality. So let me give you an example right here. Everyone sees the augmented reality, but I think very soon we're going to have contact lenses where you walk around, you see a different layer of the world. So let me lay out a situation right here that will happen. For example, when you're walking around, you own property at your house, for example. When someone walks by your house, they see absolutely nothing. Well, what if you wanted to put advertising on your house? How would you do that? So that's kind of a weird concept. Well, imagine someone walks by your house and you say, I want to turn my house into a giant billboard. You connect to the augmented reality network and you can have ads display on your house. Now, how are people going to buy these ads from you? Someone could walk by, look at the ad from their augmented reality goggles or search it up online, instantly either permanently buy the ad, get an NFT that gives them permanent access to change anything that goes on there, or they pay for the ad via crypto and it automatically rents it to them for a certain amount of time, or people can go and bid on it. This can be handled completely decentralized via the blockchain. Now, how do you verify ownership of this location, real estate, an NFT? So you plug in an NFT that verifies your ownership of the real estate of this area of land right here. Person can interact and buy a chunk of that, rent it, etc. That's one of many situations. The way we're going to exchange value on this augmented reality plane is going to need to be through the blockchain and via NFTs, because there's no other way to verify something without a huge middleman and tons of micro everything going on. If you've ever bought a house, if you've ever bought a car, everything going on, it's completely nonsense. There's all this paperwork, all these things are done. It's impossible to verify ownership. This is going to enable that. Now, what's going to also happen in gaming particularly, and this is where you should be most excited and most paying attention to, is you're already seeing NFTs starting to get traction in mainstream gaming. Dr. Disrespect's new game, you saw with the Bored Apes game, when that went really viral on Twitter and someone won $1 million, you're going to start seeing people really fighting over NFTs and likely real estate in gaming and potentially currency. I'm not as bullish on the currency, but I can see it happening, particularly with, for example, like ApeCoin. They have this Metaverse game coming, and if the game's a huge hit and the only way you can interact on it is ApeCoin, that could be huge, and then it could spiral into other games, and then ApeCoin fuels all those things. I don't see hundreds and hundreds of tiny little cryptocurrencies all interacting on their own games. That's not probably how it's going to work. There's probably going to be one overarching gaming crypto coin that's designed and has enough resources and infrastructure to be used for games, and that's going to be it. I don't know if it's going to be ApeCoin, because ApeCoin is built on ETH. I think it's going to have to be something that's built on its own layer one. That being said, if we look at it, it's starting to get traction right now. We're starting to see huge transactions in digital items. And so the one thing that's holding us back right here is people think, well, NFTs, how's the company going to make money? Why don't they just keep selling it between users and whatnot? Well, there's going to be that AI narrative that I talked about before, but also companies are going to realize that if they make NFTs scarce, so they say, okay, you can only buy this for the next 5 days, they're going to see a huge increase in sales. And then if they allow people to trade the NFTs between each other, they can get 5-10% of each sale. Royalties for life, which means this one promotion they did, because it's scarce, they could see huge revenue forever from the trading of the NFTs. And I think they're going to see that. Now, as soon as this goes mainstream and it gets picked up by gaming, for example, Dr. Disrespect's game, if you look at my partner at Neo Tokyo, Elio Trade's upcoming game, Imposters. These are very YouTubeable, streamable games. And if you've noticed, whatever streamers or YouTubers are playing, people go fanatic over, and then they try to get all the skins. It makes them really cool. You've seen this pattern over and over again. As soon as that starts happening, as soon as you have one hit game that has this NFT technology put into it, and it's just brimming, like they're trying, they're poking, something's going to get through here really soon. What we're going to see across the entire ecosystem is everything go nuts. Why? Because people are pieces of shit. If you saw the last meme coin rally, something doesn't have to have merit or value for people to turn into a giant Ponzi scheme / MLM / game of financial chicken. So what's going to happen is we're going to see a few projects do really, really well based on merit. For example, Axie took off because it had so many players, there's so much demand, and it caused an entire bull run. They got this all the way up to 100 billion, or the market cap was huge on this from one game. And this isn't even like a good game that is mainstream. When we see a mainstream game, this is going to go nuts. It's going to go to $100 billion market cap. It's going to go nuts. All these things are going to go nuts. You could literally just spread it around. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm not a financial advisor. You could just spread it across all these things right here and get a 50x, 20x next 2 to 3 years. If you actually know what you're doing and what to look for and where the narratives are going to be, which I'm going to show you in this video, Oh, you're cooking. You're cooking. And this is going to happen. The thesis for an entire crypto market is iffy. I don't know if we're ever going to see this stuff used in mainstream. What is the point? It's all just Ponzi coin. I think Ethereum, the layer ones, and the overall technology has a purpose, but we literally have dog coins floating around here at multi-billion-dollar market caps. I don't see the narrative right now. It's going to send that to the moon and where mainstream adoption is going to come from. I see the mainstream adoption clear as day right here. It's being poked at. It's a thin paper layer that the biggest names in the world and the patterns we've seen happen over and over and over again are happening in right now. So how do we go and make money in this? Well, you need to understand what you're looking at and where to be investing and how it's going to look. So most people think, oh, I'm going to invest in just the best looking game and it has cool graphics and stuff like that. No, that's not really the best thing to be doing in my opinion, because like I said before, games have big ups and downs. They have this massive up and then no one ever plays them ever again. What I want to look at the things that are going to happen is what's going to internally be there. And then I also want to understand how the hype is going to look like. So I'm going to talk about hype last. That's where you can make the quickest money and you need to get in and out and you'll probably lose your butt doing it. Just telling you. But for long-term investing, we want to look at a few places. We want to look at infrastructure, companies, products, then games, which I'm pretty sure is covered by my face right here. And then finally, we want to look at the NFT assets. And then last of all, we just want to look at nonsense hype. So what are all these things? So game infrastructure is going to be the blockchain technology and underlying NFT technology these things use. So for example, if we look at a coin like Engine Coin, this is a company that provides a lot of infrastructure for gaming. It's not like a particularly game company. What it does is it provides lots of infrastructure for games to run on. That's why I'm still very bullish on Engine Coin. Okay, I'm not suggesting you buy any coin I mentioned in this video. The market is down. Things are probably going to go lower. This is not a buy now video. It's a think about it and look at my thought process video. Please, I beg you, do not buy. You will get dumped on. There are very experienced traders that watch my channel. They wait for you guys to FOMO into these things and then they dump on you. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. You're playing a rigged game against you. Don't try. Don't be like, I'm going to watch Alex Becker's video and get in first. There's bots, everybody. They're way smarter than you and better at this and been doing it for 5-6 years that are going to get you. Don't do it. So if you also look at, for example, Ronin Network, all right, this is the infrastructure. It's a layer one. It basically allows all the transactions and recording. It's the ledger for Axie and the larger companies. So this allows all the transactions to move around on it. Infrastructure is so important because it's going to be what everything runs on. So it doesn't matter how individual games are doing. It just matters the demand for the network. And so if you look at like Ethereum, these are basically Ethereum, but for gaming. It's a very basic system of it. Now, if you keep going down, you can find projects that are making their own layer one, like Vulcan Forge right here, has a pretty low market cap compared to Engine right here. It has a $257 million market cap. It used to be in the billions, man. It's even a 10x just in this giant coin right here if it goes back to all-time highs. You can also look at services or infrastructure like Veracity that provides streaming and infrastructure for people that watch gaming content, all right, or just actually content in general right here. So these are all very important. Another one I could just mention right here could also be, I really like ad shares, for example. This is one, for example, in augmented reality, where it basically allows the transaction of advertising in these spaces. Again, the spaces where people advertise are going to be extremely in demand. Okay, so this is all infrastructure that's going to fuel all the behaviors and underlying things. And that's where I'm really most interested for long-term investing. I don't know how individual games are going to do, but I know how the infrastructure is going to go. And there's only so many infrastructure tokens right here. And when one of them pumps, all of them are going to pump. They're all going to get stupid valuations. So it's just like, throw it on the table, that's all reds. Finally, another cool one here is Altura. Very low right now, but I think it's going to be the underlying infrastructure for a lot of how games use their NFTs and upgrade them. So for example, if you have an NFT sword, you need to update the data, change how it looks based on the time of day, something like that, something you see in gaming a lot. That's what Altura does. So you find the underlying infrastructure first, and that's where you're going to want to look. Again, I'm going to tell you also, if you want to join this conversation and you want more information like this, don't just get it from me. Come join Neo Tokyo. We are talking about this stuff all day. This is the bread and butter. And a lot of the people that are designing all the infrastructure, offering the seed investments, offering the tips, showing people what's going on, a lot of the founders of all these projects, they're inside that. So we have the founders of a lot of the upcoming games that are coming on. We have some of the biggest VCs in the world, and this is where all the alpha and the exchange and the networking is going on in there. Again, in the future, as soon as Bytes 2 drops later this week, and this really starts to pick up, it's not going to be accessible to a normal person. And then finally, again, you're not buying it from me. If you buy access to it or you get an NFT to access the community, you're buying it from another member. Now, let's talk about the next thing, all right? Companies. So companies are going to be like the Blizzards that are making a universe of games. So, for example, ApeCoin, Yuga Labs, which is Yuga Labs coin, I think they're making much more on top of the other side. So this could be an example of a big, wide game universe. I don't like ApeCoin that much because the market cap is already super duper crazy high. And if they drop the ball or they don't deliver on this, it has a big fall. And so when I invest on something that has a potential big fall, I want to see like a 20x on there. I think ApeCoin could easily do a 20x if they nail the game. But we'll see. We will very much see. And people are going to freak out. All the apes are going to want to crucify me for saying that. I think if the gaming bull run happens, you're not going to miss with ApeCoin, but I think you can get much better returns down here. If the gaming bull run starts, we don't want to be investing all the way up here. We want to be playing around in the dirt. So moving down, if we go and look at Gala, for example, they are making tons of different games, tons of different assets that are going to be using their coin, working on it, and it's a game development company, and so it's going to be, their coin is going to go across a lot of games, which is what you want to see, because if it's just a one-off game, well, then that's eventually going to lose value. If it's a whole entire series of games they're releasing over decades, the currency, the NFTs, they all have value. Okay, you're also going to see something very similar to that with Vulcan Forged. Ultra, for example, is kind of like a Steam of crypto gaming. And then if we go like lower, we're going to see even smaller ones like the Central Games right here, which is just one I picked off the top of my head right here, that builds a large portfolio of games. That's what you want to look for. I really don't think you need to be investing in individual games. You want to be investing in the portfolio. Usually when it comes to individual games, what happens, and this is not without every game, but this is how the schemes work, is they say they're going to make a little game and it's going to have its own currency, and then they hype up the game, and then the game gets delivered and nobody uses it and the currency is worthless. You have to avoid that when you're investing here. Next, products. Okay, so by products, I think we need to look back at, and there's very few of these, but for example, Ultra is kind of like the Steam of crypto. So it's a product that people will use, and their token will function to run on it. When you look at Veracity, it's also a product that people will use. And so I want to look at products that have a potential to be used for a long period of time and actually generate revenue, aka an actual business. So that also would fall under infrastructure, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. Now let's look at actual games. So if we're looking at games, you have to talk about ApeCoin because it's going to fuel other side. You can look at Sandbox. It's a big, giant game. Okay, the Decentraland. A lot of these ones right here, I think, are just very, very super duper overvalued. I think ApeCoin has a lot of merit, but I'm really out on a lot of the ones below this. Okay. Also, Immutable X is fantastic infrastructure. That's going to allow so much transaction of NFTs, avoiding the Ethereum gas fees. Now, the games I really like to look for, and I'm going to tell you straight up, are the gambling games. So if you go look at a project like D-Race, it's so far down, right? It is right here. $12 million market cap. This is a game where people can basically buy digital NFT horses and race them. The reason why I like that is because the NFTs have value because you can win money via the NFTs. It has direct utility right there. The currency has value because you can gamble with it. So you come in, you gamble with it, and you watch the horses. And that's why I think that will really work right there, because it has a loop that's really, really simple and already proven. It doesn't even have to be that good of a game. People gamble on roulette, which is, if you look at it, the world's most basic game. You throw a ball at a table. You see what I'm getting at right here. So I love gambling games. If I were to bet on anything first, going mainstream, I would say the gambling games, because you know the streamers play these a lot. They boost them when they really shouldn't be boosting them. And it gets people sucked in. And the game doesn't have to be that good for it to have long-term staying power. But when it comes to actual games, let's look at just some basic ones. Like Illuvium is one of my favorite games coming out right now. Now, I want to talk. I'm not buying any of these things right now. I think we could go potentially a lot lower. Some of the market caps are still insanely high. Okay, so if you watch my wallet and stuff right now, you'll probably see me selling games. Okay, I'm not telling you to buy right now. If you buy this, and I'm holding a bag of what you buy, I'll likely be selling a little bit in the next few weeks. So don't buy what I'm talking about right now. Don't do it. But Illuvium right here, it's kind of like a Pokemon / open world game. It looks really good. It has a lot of hype behind it, and it looks like it's going to be a great game. I want to emphasize one thing right here. I'm not saying Illuvium is not going to be a great game. The main thing in crypto that matters is it looks like it's going to be a great game because this is narrative driven. Okay? And when we talk about the hype cycle, that's what we're going to focus on right here. You also want to find games that have a lot of active users. Last I checked, Minds of Delarnia had a lot of active users. That's why it has a pretty high market cap right now. You can also look at Axie Affinity. All right? This company, I don't like the game. I don't like the process behind it, but I see them making all the right moves to build into like a new kind of almost Pokemon-like brand. Big games with a lot of hype behind them like Star Atlas. That the market cap is way down on that. And what you also need to look at, I want to point out one thing right here. So this is the most dangerous thing you need to look at when you're investing in these games. So if you look at the diluted market cap versus the current market cap, you're going to notice in a lot of these that there's a ton of coins that VCs and early investors have not been allowed to sell yet. And so what happens is, so for example, an investor signs up and he's allowed to get 1 million coins, but he can't sell them for a year. All right, and there's a cliff. And so after a year, he can sell 10% each month if he wants to, 10% on lock. So what happens is a lot of these games, they launch and they only have 10% of their tokens online, and there's 90% of VCs that are holding all these tokens that they can't sell yet. And so what happens is those tokens come online, they get sold, and they drive the price to the ground. Okay, so as much as I love Illuvium, that's exactly what happened with it. And it's just a quick little lesson right here. You can see the all-time right here, it was here, but you could see that what happened is the coins were not fully released. There was, I think, like 10% of the coins, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, were only available. And then what happened is the VCs came on and they started selling their coins from this huge top right here because they bought all the way down here and they've been holding it for a year. So you have to really watch out for that. So you can still see there's a ton of coins that haven't been released, but it used to be huge, okay? Usually if the fully diluted market cap is like 2-3x it, that's going to be okay. If it's like 5-10x it, no, don't do that. So if we look at one company like Remark that does a lot of NFT stuff for gaming and whatnot, you can see that its market cap is 16 million and the diluted supply of 16 million. So that's very important because this doesn't mean there's people with a giant bag waiting to dump on you. So that's why I really like Remark, because it hits all the right boxes. But just going back to that, there's going to be certain games that look really promising. It's hard to really put our finger on it. Citus looks really good. Aurora looks super good. There's a game that's releasing or starting to come online called Treeverse, I think looks really good. Fate in the Arena looks really good, but its tokenomics are kind of messed up last I looked at it. And so that's, you want to keep an eye out for games, but I don't really look at that most of all. Another one I wanted to bring up as well is going to be digital land for like living in and virtual reality experiences. That's going to get a lot of hype whenever Metaverse picks up or not. So for example, Network does exactly that. It generates this giant land where people can work, have offices, sell stuff from. It's a little hard to grasp, but it will pump super hard when the Metaverse narrative starts to take off. And then finally, NFT assets. If you look at all these games, for example, ApeCoin has land in it, Sandbox has land in it, Affinity has creatures and items and people or characters you can trade in it like Pokemon. That's what I mean by NFT assets. So if you see a game that looks really, really, really good, you almost don't want to be buying the coins. You want to be buying the land and real estate because that's going to pump crazy hard. The Sandbox land was going for insane numbers. Other side land still going for insane numbers. You find this stuff early and you can really make a killing. I'm not going to touch on that too much because that's really high risk. I just want you to understand the different sectors of what's going on inside of these things. Finally, the last one I would point out is communities or investment groups. So for example, Seedify is one I really, really like because what it does is you buy tokens on Seedify and it allows you to make certain levels of seed investments in all the companies they bring in. So when the gaming bull run takes off, seed investing is going to be nutso, okay? And so people are going to be paying crazy amounts to get in Seedify. And you might also want to look at communities that are building a strong infrastructure. So for example, I've talked about Neo Tokyo twice in this video, so I don't want to share it too hard, but let me show you how it works. So for example, in Neo Tokyo, a person gets an NFT and then they get access to the community of VCs, founders, investors, developers, talent, whatever. So they get into this cool club right here. But what it then does is it gives them access to seed investing. It gives them access to hiring talent. It gives them access to alpha. So they're on the inside curve. They're talking to all the people that are actually in the industry building the things. It gives them access and early access to a lot of projects so they can get the NFTs or things coming out early inside of them. There's talks with founders. People come to their companies. They give a lot of special access to Neo Tokyo because they know that the investors in that or inside Neo Tokyo are actually interested in the industry, so they know what they're doing. So that's where a lot of people raise money from. And also it gives the people inside of it the ability to build resources. For example, there's like a job hiring board where other projects can come in and actually hire developers for and then spend bytes the token to use it. There's things that will actually go and generate contracts that we're working on. Or for example, a launch pad where people are able to get access to seed investing that runs on bytes, the currency for it. And so what you basically get is like a Soho House country club for metaverse and game investing, but you also get all these access, but you also get access to all these resources that are extremely important for anyone that's actually participating in the industry. And so as soon as gaming, crypto, and metaverse goes off, these communities will go up in value. And I'm not gonna be a poo-poo head. There are other NFT communities that are also very cool. For example, CyberKongs is a really other good kind of gaming metaverse-based community that I like as well. And then finally, let's talk about the hype. So what we're going to see, particularly on Twitch and YouTube, this is where I think it's going to happen, is we're going to see a lot of hype occur when this starts to happen. And so suddenly people are going to rush into this the same way you saw the meme coins, but this is going to have way more staying power than meme coins like Pepe or whatnot. And again, I have to stress just how high these market caps got in the bull run. Okay, I think we're going to see it go back to this. So if we just go back to where we were before, this thesis has paid for all the ham in the refrigerator for years. What's going to happen, though, when we see one or two games take off? For example, Dr. Disrespect's game, or Imposters, which, by the way, its token is blood. All these coins are going to go nuts because people love to speculate. They're just going to play a huge game of financial chicken. And so you need to be aware of all the coins in this range, at least probably the top, how much is it showing? The top 100 at least, okay? Because what we're going to see is if we go just to look at decimated right here, small coin. If we go back to the market top, let's go look at the market cap. All right, $20 to $24 million market cap. So this is an easy 12x if it just returns to there. So what you need to do if you want to keep it as low risk as possible is don't be buying right now. Wait for those games to pop off. And then we're going to start seeing these top games start to pop off too. You want to come over here. If you're not early invested in all of these, which you can be right now if you want to, when these start to move, pow, we come back down here. We know exactly where all the things are going to be and what's going to work. We want to start investing in the infrastructure first. Those are the easy ones that are going to get the highest market caps. The launch pads are easy predictions as well. That's like Seedify, that's like Neo Tokyo and Neo Tokyo Bytes. FYI, I of course own Neo Tokyo. I also have a bag of bytes. I am not suggesting you buy right now. I'm not suggesting you buy any bytes or anything like that. I'm not suggesting you buy any of it. You will probably lose money. Okay, you will probably lose money. There are, again, people waiting. You even know I'm releasing this video. They're pre-bought bytes and are waiting to dump on you. Just don't do it. Just be patient. Just be patient. However, we're going to see things like Star Atlas. We're going to see things like D-Race. We're going to see all of these games right here. Anything that looks good is just going to go nuclear, like straight up to a $20, $50 million market cap. Everything's going to 5, 10x. You can get in and out right there and just make a lot of money. But as the gaming bull run starts continuing, we start seeing games hit huge market caps, multi-billion, decabillion market caps, maybe even $50 billion market caps, stuff approaching the same market caps as some of these top coins right here. That's when things are going to get really funky. All right, and we're going to see so much overvaluation that if you're just positioned and you know what you're looking at and you know where the news is coming from, you have a good network of people, you have the alpha, and you're just able to position yourself a little bit early, not super far early, you're going to make an absolute killing. So for example, how it will look and where you want to be at if you're kind of a new investor at this is, let's go look at like the Seedify chart. Oh my, if I can spell. All right. So if we look at the all-time or the all-time of this, before it got to its all-time high right here, you saw there was this bump right here. This is when we want to be getting in about this point. So you can see everything was just kind of like right here. Then there was this bump right here. Okay. Now, of course, this is a 2x right here. That's a clean 2x. That stinks that you missed that. But this is when gaming really started to move. Okay. And not many people knew about C to 5, but I got in like right here. And then a lot of people that I knew just got in right here. And then it went, all right. And so you had months of just bull market on this thing as gaming was pumping. And so what we want to do is you don't want to be investing. This is about the period we're in right here. Because if you invest right here, we could go a lot lower. And I don't want anybody doing that right now. Wait for gaming to start moving. Wait for something to take off on YouTube. Wait for something to take off in augmented reality. And then have your list of hotspots. Come over, start getting into it. What happens then? If the gaming bull run doesn't start there, just pull out, all right? You might lose 10, 20%. That's fine. We're not putting in our life saving. We're taking low risk swings for the fences. We're trying to get 20, 30 X's here, all right? So if we put in $1,000, that's going to cover it. We're not trying to put in half of our house money, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get in right here. And if this fails to happen, or maybe, you know, Dr. Disrespect's game takes off and then nobody keeps playing it, we pull out right here. All right, cool. We lose 10, 20%. Fine. That's the risk that we're taking with it. We don't want to put in a ton of money right now and then watch it grind to zero over the next year or two. That's not what we're trying to do. So in absolute conclusion, that is everything I think you need to know about gaming, crypto, and metaverse. The long-term thesis, the short-term thesis, the chunks of the industry. This is your roadmap to everything you need to be thinking about when it goes into it. Of course, there's so many fine details. What company is good? What company is not? What should I be investing in? That is up for you to research in. Again, if you're really, really interested, you're like all about it, join Neo Tokyo. Just join it. If you don't like it, you can just sell your NFT back into the market later on. That's going to help you a lot. Get involved in these communities. A lot of the best communities are NFT communities because not everybody just wants to be interacting with random people in the Discord channel. I think Neo Tokyo has the best resources and access and the best community because that's essentially everything I just talked about is what we focus on. That's up to you. Most importantly, dig into this and be ready. Everybody hates crypto right now. They're rolling their eyes at crypto gaming like, what a dumb fad that was. It's not. It's going to happen, and it's probably the big first use case for crypto. And I don't know where the rest of crypto is going. I don't know where the S&P is going. I don't know what stocks are going to do. I don't know what real estate is going to do. But I know this is massively super duper undervalued. Nobody's looking at it. It's a joke right now, and it gives us a perfect opportunity to make a ton of money if this just goes halfway back up to all-time highs, which that was not the true gaming bull run. That was like the first bull run of Bitcoin. The real one is coming. And when mainstream adoption happens with this, I'm not talking about, if you look at crypto, millions of people use it. We're going to see hundreds of millions of people using gaming, crypto, metaverse, and everything. Heck, we could see billions of people in the next 10 years as VR and augmented reality become more mainstream. And this becomes the default method for playing games. The default method, not like this is a cool little NFT gimmick, the default method. When that happens, you're going to really wish you listened to this video. So that being said, that's all I got. I don't want to talk anymore. This video is already like 50 minutes, but I wanted to make the ultimate tome of knowledge in gaming crypto, and that's all I have for you. Have a nice day.